So, good afternoon once again, my dear boys. So, in the next week and in the last week, we completed 13th group elements. Now, in this week, we are trying to complete 14th group elements. What are these 14th group elements? Okay, so that means these are the elements which are present in 14th vertical column of the periodic table. That is why these are called as 14th group elements. So the first element in this group is carbon. The first element in this group is carbon. That is why it is called as carbon family. Carbon family. Next, here the general outermost electronic configuration is ns2np2. So that means only 4 electrons in the outermost orbit. So that too in the same orbit. That is why it is called as 4th A. 4th A elements. 4th A old notation, 14th new notation. So first element is carbon. That's why it is a carbon family. Let us discuss one by one, boys. See here, what are those elements? Those elements are carbon, silicon, germanium, tin, lead. Carbon, silicon, germanium, tin, lead. These are the 5 elements which are in 14th vertical column. That is why these are called as 14th group elements. The first element is carbon. That is why it is the carbon family. It is called as carbon family. Now, so carbon, silicon, germanium, stannum, nothing but a tin, plumbum, leaded, plumbum, leaded. Next, what are the atomic numbers? So atomic number Z for carbon is 6. For carbon, atomic number Z is 6. Next, add H. So here Z is equal to 6 plus 8, 14. Add 18. That is Z is equal to. So 14 plus 18. So that is 28 plus 4, 32. That is 32. Next, add one more 18. That is Z is equal to 58. Add 32. That is Z is equal to 82. These are the atomic numbers of this group elements. Atomic numbers. Now let us try to write electronic configuration, boys. So here 6 means 1s2, 2s2, 2p2. 1s2, 2s2, 2p2. Inner orbit contains 2 electrons. Outermost orbit contains 4 electrons. That 2 s2p2. Therefore, I am representing this is a 2, 4. This is a 2, 4. Next, here add H. 2, 8, 4. Next, 18. 2, H, 18, 4. Next, 18. 2, H, 18, 18, 4. 32. 2, H, 18, 32, 18, 4. So these are the number of electrons in those particular orbits. Okay. So everywhere the last orbit contains 4 electrons. The last orbit contains 4 electrons. That too, S contains 2 electrons, P contains 2 electrons. Both are in the same orbit. That's what it is. NS2, NP2 is the general outermost electronic configuration. NS2, NP2 is the general outermost electronic configuration and contains 4 electrons. 4 electrons. That's why it is considered as 4th A group elements. It is a general outermost electronic configuration. So 4th A group elements. This is comes under 4th A group elements. Okay. So this is the about the elements. What are those elements? Carbon, silicon, germanium, tin, lead. Now, what is the occurrence of these elements? Occurrence of these elements. Among all these 5 elements, the most abundant element in the earth crust is silicon and Si. So next, the most abundant element in these 5 elements in the earth crust is silicon. Silicon is the second most abundant element among all the elements. That means the entire periodic table nearly contains more than 120 elements. Among all these elements, the second most abundant element in the earth crust is silicon. First most is oxygen. First most is oxygen. Second most element is silicon. Okay, now what about the abundance of these elements? See here, that is carbon. It is available in nature. So occurs naturally as coal, coke, next diamonds, graphites, etc. So all these are the allotropes of carbon, boys. So this like this, our carbon is available in our nature. Next, silicon. Silicon. So it is the second most abundant element in the earth crust. So as silicates, that is SiO2, like that, it is available in the under the name silicates or SiO2, sanding, that is also available. Next, germanium. So it is in tracer amounts, it available. So that is occurs in traces, very little. Tinra, Sn. So it occurs in nature as cassiterite, CASSITERITE, cassiterite or tinstone. The formula is SnO2. SnO2, that is called as tinstone or cassiterite. Very important, boys. Next, lead, PB. So occurs as, so that is galena, that is PBS. Occurs as galena, that is PBS. So this is the occurrence of all these elements. Among all these elements, germanium is in tracer amounts. So remaining, this is second best. So it is also available in frequently, boys. Okay, Ge, germanium. Ge means germanium. So see here, carbon, silicon, germanium, stannum, tin, lead, plumbum. Okay. Now, what are the general properties? Tracer means very little, very minutely available. Tracer means. Okay. Now, physical properties. Physical properties. First one, atomic radius. Or atomic size. So let us observe some values. No doubt, generally top to bottom, atomic size increases. Here also increases. Not just like 13 group elements, boys. Here also atomic size increases. So please observe the values. So that is, so increases. So our elements and covalent radius in picometers. So what are those elements? Carbon, silicon, germanium, tin, lead. Carbon, silicon, germanium, tin, lead. Now covalent radius, that is 77 picometers. Next 118 picometers. Next 122 picometers. It is 140 picometers. It is 146 picometers. All these are covalent radius in picometers, boys. So let us observe. See here, from carbon to silicon increases largely. So a greater increase in size from carbon to silicon. After that, so silicon to germanium, germanium to tin. So these elements increases little, a little increase boys. But tin to lead, almost same size. Almost they have almost same size. So that means so from first two elements between first and second element there is a large increase in size. After that size increases but very little. At last those two elements have almost same. But generally from top to bottom atomic size increases. Now next property. What about that next property? That is density. So density. We know in every group density from top to bottom increases. Now we expected here expected that is carbon greater than silicon greater than, just a minute boys, increases kada, just a minute, carbon less than silicon, germanium, tin, lead. This is expected. But observed value. So here is the observation boys, silicon less than carbon. So these are observed. That means this is cancelled boys. So the final radar, that is the order of density is silicon less than carbon. Carbon has diamond allotropy. So that diamond is considered is diamond less than germanium, tin, lead. Because of their particular structures. So this is the correct order boys. It is corrected. It is wrong. So don't use this one. Okay. So the correct order of density of this 14 group elements is silicon less than carbon, diamond less than germanium, tin, lead. So all these are. So that means so highest density for lead and least density for silicon. It is because of more size, of abnormal increase in size. Next, it is about density. Next, third one, that is melting point. Melting point. So once again, let us observe the values. So what about that element? Melting point in Kelvin scale. That is carbon, silicon, germanium, tin, lead. No need to buy hard these values, boys. Please identify which one has highest, which one has least. That's enough to you. So that is, so it is a very, very high melting point, boys. 4373 Kelvin. It is 1693 Kelvin. Germanium 1218 Kelvin. Tin 505 Kelvin. Lead 600 Kelvin. 600 Kelvin. These are the melting points, boys. See here, highest. It is the highest value. Highest melting point. This one has the least melting point. So tin has least melting point because of bond that is a bond energies and the conditions boys. So crystal structure and bond energy. So tin has least melting point. So carbon has highest melting point. Therefore, order ending. Order, that is carbon greater than, silicon greater than, germanium greater than, lead greater than tin. Please observe this anomalous condition, this violation. So that is important, boys. So this is carbon greater than, silicon greater than, germanium greater than, lead greater than tin. So tin has least melting point. Okay. Next, boiling point. Boiling point. That is generally no violation, boys. Decreases gradually from top to bottom. Decreases gradually from top to bottom. Okay. So next property. That is metallic nature. Metallic nature. Metallic nature, boys. What are those elements? Carbon, silicon, germanium, tin, lead. The first two elements are non-metals, carbon and silicon. Germanium is a metalloid and last two elements, tin and lead, are metals. So that means the metallic nature top to bottom increases. So automatically electropositivity also. So see here, please note down. That is fifth one. Metallic nature. Metallic nature. That is carbon and silicon. Carbon and silicon. These two are non-metals. Carbon and silicon, non-metals. First two elements are non-metals. Next, germanium, metalloid. Tin and lead. Tin and lead, these two are metals. Tin and lead are metals. Okay, so this is about metallic nature. Metallic nature generally increases. Now let us observe ionization energy values. Ionization energy. Next property. That is, so see, ionization energy, boys. So that is, so generally increases but least value for tin. So see here. So what is the order? Ionization energy order is, so carbon greater than silicon, germanium, tin, lead. This is we expected. Tin, lead, but so here also violation possible. That is why it is a lead and tin. Lead and tin. So please consider this point. So that is the violation, boys. So tin has the least ionization energy. So least ionization energy. Because of that, so it is easy to lose that electron. So something more metallic nature. Tin has something more metallic nature. Okay. So therefore, it is the ionization energy order, boys. So that means, so gradually here to here, decreases largely. That is a carbon to silicon. So ionization energy decreases largely. Okay. Next, from here to here, slightly decreases. But so here condition wise, so very related, but very important, lead and tin. So that is a violation case because of internal structure. Seventh one, that is electronegativity. Let us observe the values. So our element and electronegativity on Pauling scale. Electronegativity on Pauling scale. So carbon, silicon, germanium, tin, lead. Carbon, silicon, germanium, tin, lead. So carbon has 2.5 electronegativity. Carbon has 2.5. These three elements 1.8, 1.8, 1.8. That means silicon, germanium, tin have almost exactly same electronegativity. Lead has 1.9. Lead has 1.9. Okay. So this is the order, boys. So what we observe? So order. Carbon greater than, lead greater than, silicon is equal to germanium is equal to tin. Silicon is equal to germanium is equal to tin. So this is the order of electronegativity, boys. So it is the order of electronegativity. Okay. So we must follow our NCERT book. We must follow our NCERT book. Okay. So this is about metallic nature, that is electronegativity values. So electronegativity values. Now, and most important, that is oxidation states. Very important. Oxidation states. See here, oxidation states, that is eighth property. Oxidation states. See boys, what is the electronic configuration of this? What is the outermost electronic configuration of these group elements? NS2, NP2. I'm writing that in box method. So based on that, we will explain the oxidation states. See here. So that is outermost electronic configuration is equal to NS2, NP2. NS2, NP2. I'm writing box method. So that is in ground state. In ground state, that is, it is NS orbital, it is NP orbital. So NS2, NP2. So in ground state, so a pair of s electrons and two unpaired electrons are existent. So these two unpaired electrons are involved in bond formation. That is why the possible oxidation state in this situation, that is in ground state, is only +2 only, +2. Therefore, here in this case, oxidation state is +2. Oxidation state is +2. If this s electron is going to be unpaired, that is excited. So see here, excited configuration. Excited configuration. It is NS orbital. It is NP orbital. NS1. This electron jumped from here to there. So that is, it is NS1, NP3. It contains 3 unpaired electrons boys in excited stage. So that means the 4 bonds are possible. +4 is the possible oxidation state. So in this situation, +4 is the possible oxidation state. That means our 14th group elements can exhibit both +2 and +4 oxidation states. 14th group elements exhibit +2 and +4 oxidation states. Okay. So see here, this +2 oxidation state. So in this group, how is this varied? That is this stability increases or decreases, or +4 stability increases or decreases? All these are according to inert pair effect. See here. So let us observe. That is, what are those elements? Carbon, silicon, germanium, tin, lead. So +2, all these are exhibited boys. See here. +2 is the oxidation state. So this +2 oxidation state, so top to bottom, this +2 oxidation state, stability of +2 stage from top to bottom increases. Very, very important. So that means here +2 is unstable. +2 oxidation state is unstable. Here +2 is more stable. More stable. That means the +2 oxidation state from top to bottom increases. Next, +4 situation. Here +4, +4, +4, +4, +4. So these stability from top to bottom decreases. Stability of this +4 oxidation state from top to bottom decreases. Here +4 is more stable. Here it is least stable. Here it is least stable. Because why, sir? So +2 in ground state, +4 is in exit state. Carbon activation energy to excite that electron is very, very less. That is why carbon ready to excite its valence electron. That is why almost carbon can form bonds in its +4 state. But that excitation of this electron from here to here, that is from top to bottom decreases. It is due to inert pair effect. So see here, so stability of +2 oxidation state from top to bottom increases. This is due to inert pair effect. It is due to inert pair effect. Already we know boys, inert pair effect. That is non-bond participation. That is the reluctance of valency s electron pair in chemical bond formations called as inert pair effect. That reluctance, this inert pair effect this is due to, this inert pair effect is due to lanthanide contraction. So why, sir? Why that inert pair effect is applicable? Because of lanthanide contraction, inert pair effect is applied. So that inert pair effect in a group from top to bottom, inert pair effect from top to bottom increases. Because of increase in inert pair effect, +2 state stability increases and +4 stability decreases. Therefore, so lead has +2 more stability, carbon has +4 more stability. So let us observe one by one. See here. So the order of stabilities, that is, see here, order of +2 stability is C+2 less than carbon, silicon, germanium, tin, lead. So it is more stable. That is more stable. So that means these four elements ready to convert into respect to +4 oxidation state. +2 is ready to convert into +4. +2 change it to +4 means it loses 2 electrons. Loses 2 electrons. Oxidized. Oxidized. That means here elements are oxidized. So when elements are oxidized, acts as good reducing agents. So that means all these elements, carbon, silicon, germanium, tin, these four elements acts as good reducing agent because for those elements +4 is more stable than +2. +4 is more stable than +2. Therefore, here C+2 it is the strongest reducing agent. So strongest reducing agent. Carbon acts as good reducing agent in its +2 state. In its +2 state, carbon acts as good reducing agent. So therefore, carbon is easy to convert into +4. It is easy to convert into oxidation state. That is higher oxidation state. That's why it is easy to oxidize. Therefore, best reducing agent. So similarly, order of +4 stability. Order of +4 stability, that is C+2 greater than, sorry, +4 greater than, silicon +4 greater than, germanium +4 greater than, tin +4 greater than, Pb +4. And here it is more stable. Here it is less stable. So because it is less stable, it is ready to convert into Pb+2 by gaining 2 electrons. So that means it is reduced rate. Because it is reduced, it is easy to act as good oxidizing agent. So itself it is reduction takes place. Therefore, acts as good oxidizing agent. Therefore, Pb+4 is a good oxidizing agent. C+2 is a good reducing agent. C+2 is good reducing agent. See here, boys. So finally, what we observe? So lead, which one is more stable? Lead has +2 is more stable. Carbon has +4 is more stable. So, but sometimes, so I'm explaining about lead ending. So Pb. So here Pb, PbF4, PbCl4, PbBr4, PbI4. So in all these cases, lead is in +4 oxidation state. So, but these two compounds are exist. But these two compounds are not exist. Not exist. So why, sir? Because fluorine, it is the strong oxidizing agent. Chlorine also strong oxidizing agent. Because of high oxidizing power of fluorine and chlorine, lead is in +4 state stability. Lead in +4 state stability. So that's why these two compounds are exist. But here bromine and iodine both are not that much oxidizing power. So that's why. So here lead should be converted into +2 stated. See here I'm explaining about PbI4. That means lead which is in +4 state, 4 I's, I minus. These are the 4 I minus ions. So see here. So these 2 I minus ions convert into I2 by the loss of 2 electrons to this lead. So that means Pb plus 4 change it to by taking 2 electrons plus 2, and these 2 combination gives PbI2. PbI2. Therefore, finally, what I have told you, I am telling sir boys, that is PbI4 splits into PbI2 plus I2. So that means it is unstable any. So because of this unstable, so it is converted into PbI2 and but not PbI4. PbF4 exists but not PbF. PbF4 exists but not PbF4. Okay. So this is about oxidation state. The common oxidation state exhibited by 14th group elements is plus 2 and plus 4. Plus 4 stability top to bottom decreases and plus 2 stability increases due to inert pair effect. So this is all about oxidation states. This is all about oxidation states. Let us observe next compound, next concept, that is nature of bonding. Nature of bonding. Next one, that is nature of bonding. What type of bonding are possible and what type of compounds are possible? Here, carbon, silicon, germanium, tin, lead. Carbon and silicon both are non-metals. So generally non-metal compound, non-metallic elements can form covalent compounds. So no doubt, here also carbon and silicon mostly form covalent compounds, but in rare conditions, they also give ionic compounds. See here, that is first one, carbon. Almost all compounds of carbon are covalent. Almost all compounds of carbon are covalent because it is a non-metal. But there is carbides with 1A and 2A metals, nothing but metallic carbides are ionic. But metallic carbides are ionic. Metallic carbides means already carbide means carbon with negative charge. See here. So CaC2, calcium carbide. So it is 2A metal with carbon. Here it is Ca plus 2 plus C2 minus 2. So it is ionic compound. It is ionic compound. Like this, metallic carbides are ionic except metallic carbides. Remaining all compounds of carbon are covalent. So that's why our organic chemistry, almost all compounds of carbon in your organic chemistry are covalent in nature. Next point, silicon. Similar because it is also non-metal. So mostly form covalent compounds. Mostly form covalent compounds, no doubt. But similar to carbon. So carbon with negative charge carbide, silicon with negative charge are called silicides. So but silicides, metal silicides are ionic. But metal silicides are ionic. So please keep mind your concepts. So carbon and silicon generally form covalent, but metal carbides and metal silicides are ionic. Okay. Next, remaining elements are carbon, silicon, germanium, tin, and lead. These three elements in +2 oxidation stage gives ionic compounds. So in +2 oxidation state, these elements can form ionic compounds. So, but in +4 oxidation state forms covalent compounds. So +4 oxidation state gives covalent compounds. Okay, so this is about, yes, germanium metalloid, no doubt, but nature of compounds, what type of compounds are called. So that means mostly, that means these two elements generally form both ionic compounds as well as covalent compounds. So see here, that is, let us observe lead PBN, so +4N. So generally we know as oxidation state increases, polarizing power increases and hence ionic nature decreases, covalent nature increases. Ionic nature decreases, covalent nature increases. That means more is the positive charge, more is the covalent nature. So that is why +4 compounds are covalent, +2 compounds are ionic. So let us observe, see here, lead here +4 stated. So let us consider PbCl2 here lead is in +2 oxidation state. So it is a solid end. Next, not PB, SN I am taking. SN. SnCl2. Here also it is in +2 oxidation state. It is also solid end. These two compounds are high melting point. High melting solids. These are nothing but ionic compounds. Generally, ionic compounds have high melting and boiling point. Here also melting point high means, no doubt this to be ionic in nature. Let us consider PbCl4. PB here, lead is in +4 state. Lead is in +4 state. It is in liquid state. It is in liquid state. Similarly, SnCl4. SnCl4. It is also in liquid state. But low boiling point wise. Liquids have boiling point. So these two have low boiling points. So that is a volatile liquids. Volatile liquids. Volatile liquids means volatility means easy to evaporate. So that means easy to convert into gaseous state. So that's why no doubt. So generally covalent compounds are generally covalent compounds are gaseous in state. So these are also, that is why these two compounds are covalent in nature. These two compounds are covalent. That means at higher oxidation state, covalent compounds. At lower oxidation state, ionic compounds are the possible boys. This is about nature of compounds. Now, here covalent bonds are formed. Those covalent bonds may be sigma bonds or pi bonds. Okay, so those sigma bonds by the overlapping of pp orbitals or p orbital with d orbital. Pi bonds, pp overlapping, p pi bonds, and sometimes p pi d pi bonds are also possible. Now, what type of bonds are there? How the d orbitals and p orbitals are involved in bond formation? Let us observe one by one. So that is role of p orbitals in pi bond formation. So in nature of bonding, so let us observe one by one how a pi bond is formed with p orbitals, how a pi bond is formed with d orbitals, how a sigma bond is formed with d orbitals. So let us explain one by one. See here under the same heading. So A, sub points, sub concepts. That is role of p orbitals. A, role of p orbitals in pi bonding. Role of p orbitals in pi bonding, where pi bond is possible. Let us observe one by one. Our group elements carbon, silicon, germanium like elements. So see here carbon Carbon, carbon. Both the carbon atoms are small in size, very near to each other. Because of that very near condition, this is our pure p orbital wrap. So this is also pure p orbital wrap. So almost same size, side by side are available. That's why. So linear, that is a sideways overlapping is possible. Sideways overlapping is possible. Therefore, pi pp bonds, nothing but p pi bonds is possible in case of between C and C because of small size. So almost those orbitals are very near to each other. Sideways overlapping possible. P pi bond formation is possible between carbon and carbon. Now what happened in silicon? See here, silicon something big in size only. So that means already we explained. So the distance between the size of carbon when compared to silicon is very less. Silicon when compared to carbon is very high. Large increase in size. Already I explained boys. Because of that, there is a large distance between these two orbitals. Sideways overlapping almost not possible. So therefore, pi bond formation not possible between silicon and silicon. So that means p pi bonds in between silicon and silicon not possible. Not only here, germanium tin also like that. So germanium here also, so not possible. Therefore, in these two cases, not only these two, in remaining all cases, p pi bond formation not possible. P pi only possible between carbon and carbon. P pi only possible in between carbon and carbon. So why not? Why not means because carbon has a small in size, almost these two orbitals very near to each other, sideways overlapping possible. Okay, that is why p pi bond formation is possible only in between carbon and carbon, in particularly in this case. So almost small sized elements. Almost small sized elements, p pi overlapping. Now let us explain. Let us explain the concept here. See here with an example. Let us observe the concept. That is carbon monoxide. Example, carbon monoxide existed. Silicon monoxide not existed. Carbon monoxide exists, silicon monoxide not exists. Why, sir? Here p pi bonding possible, here p pi bond is not possible. See here, so carbon, so ground state, carbon ground state contains a pair of electrons and two unpaired electrons. So one orbital is empty. I am writing here carbon, two unpaired electrons and a pair of electrons. Pair of electrons with an empty orbital. This is about carbon boys. Two unpaired electrons, one lone pair and one empty orbital. Oxygen contains two unpaired electrons and two pairs of electrons. Two unpaired electrons and two pairs of electrons. So these two sideways, that is involved in bond formation, gives a sigma bond. Here also involved in bond formation, gives a sigma bond. A double bond is possible. Next, here, this is the orbital containing a lone pair on carbon and it is a p orbital wrap. Next, it is also, this is empty orbital boys. This is empty orbital. It is also p orbital and so these two involved in sidewise overlapping. So that means a coordinate covalent bond is formed. That is from carbon to oxygen. Sorry, oxygen to carbon. See here, carbon double bond character and a coordinate covalent bond is formed. So because of that, this one gets positive charge, this one gets negative charge, this has lone pair, this one also has lone pair. Okay. So what type of bond is possible here? P pi bond is possible. It is possible. So that is why CO existed. Such type of bond is not here. So see here, silicon and oxygen. So here p pi bond not possible and therefore SiO molecule not exist. So therefore carbon can monoxide of carbon is exist, monoxide of silicon is not exist because of absence of p pi bond. Because of absence of p pi bond formation. Let us examine role of d orbital in sigma bond formation. See here. Next heading, B. Role of d orbitals in sigma bond formation. B. Role of d orbitals in sigma bonding. Role of d orbitals in sigma bonding. And how a sigma bond is possible? That means, so if sigma d orbital involved in bond formation means there must be at least one d orbital bonds. But carbon has outermost d orbitals are not present. Okay, so therefore, see here. So that is carbon. It has no d orbitals. It has no d orbitals in the outermost orbit. So d sigma bonds are not possible from carbon side. So no d sigma bonds from carbon. So no d sigma bonds from carbon. Next, I am taking silicon. Silicon. So silicon, it contains, see here, atomic number 14, electronic configuration 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p2. That means 3d0 also there in it. That means outermost orbit contains d orbitals. Silicon contains outermost d orbitals, but not carbon. 2d orbitals are not existing. So see here, I am writing. So no need this. So I am writing that is s orbital, p orbitals, and d orbitals. 3d, 3p, 3s. Excited electronic configuration. This electron is jumped from here. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is excited outermost electronic configuration for silicon. This is excited outermost electronic configuration for silicon. Now, so this is itself involved in hybridization that gives sp3 hybridization. No d orbitals are involved here, boys. So that means SiF4. So that contains sp3 hybridization. Therefore, silicon with tetrafluorines. Their silicon hybridization is sp3. But if it reacts with 2NaF, that converts into Na2SiF6. Na2SiF6 here. So this is SiF6 2 minus iron. Here silicon hybridization is sp3d2 hybridization. Silicon hybridization is sp2d2. Why, sir? How is this possible? See here, it is SiCl4. Sorry, SiF4. Two more fluorines are there. So that is F minus ion. So this one has 4 lone pairs. Every halide ion has 4 lone pairs. So this lone pair is donated to this empty orbital. This lone pair is donated to this empty orbital. That means overall it is involved in sp3d2 hybridization. Because of that, means from silicon side d orbital and fluorine side p orbital. So that means hybrid orbitals, d orbitals may also involved in sigma bond formation. So that means from silicon side, d orbitals can involve in bond formation. D orbitals can be involved in bond formation. Here silicon hybridization is sp3d2 hybridization. So this one is very, very important. Here SiF6 minus 2, it has sp3d2 hybridization, octahedral shape. That is possible. Okay. So this is very, very important. That is, what is the name of that compound? Sodium hexafluoro. The name of this compound is sodium hexafluorosilicate. Sodium hexafluorosilicate is the name of that compound, boys. So that is here silicon hybridization is sp3d2. Here d arbitrage involved in sigma bond formation. Now how a pi bond involved by d arbitrage. Next subheading role of d arbitrage in pi bonding. That is role of d orbitals in pi bonding. Pi bonding, d orbitals can also involved in pi bond formation, p pi d pi bond formation, or d pi bond formation. So that means d orbitals can also involved in pi bond formation. Let us explain with an example. So that is example number one. Example number one, that is trimethyl amine. Nitrogen has a lone parent. Trimethyl amine. Here carbon has no d orbitals, boys. Carbon has no d orbitals. Please keep in mind. So carbon has no d orbitals. Next, nitrogen SiH3 silyl. SiH3. Here also nitrogen has a lone parent. Here silicon has d orbitals. Silicon has d orbitals, carbon has no d orbitals. So that is why. So here silicon, this is d orbital, boys, empty d orbital. So this lone pair is donated to this one. A back bonding is possible. Nitrogen to silicon, back bonding is possible. Because of this, the entire structure is deviated. That means it is actually pyramidal in shape, but finally it is rearranged to planar shape. And see here at nitrogen SiH3, planar shape is there. So between these two, a back bonding is possible. This is nothing but pi bond. It is a d orbital and p orbital over that. So this bond is p pi d pi bond. P pi d pi. That means from silicon side, d orbitals can be involved in the bond. So that is involved in resonance end. See here. So it is involved in resonance. That is CH3. Sorry, not CH3. SiH3. SiH3. So SiH3. So here it is possible. Next, similarly, it is also involved in resonance. That is the nitrogen. SiH3. So it is like this. Here nitrogen is in sp2 hybridization. But here nitrogen is in sp3 hybridization. So, but no d orbitals are there. Therefore, this molecule is in pyramidal shape. It is a trigonal planar shape. It has a trigonal planar shape. That means d orbitals, if involved in the hybridization, automatically the structures may deviate. So if d orbitals are involved in bond formation, the structures may deviate. This is the best example for us. Here the back bonding is possible. So that back bonding is nothing but p pi d pi bond. P pi d pi bond. So d orbitals here involved in pi bond formation. Let us take one more example. It is very, very stable, boys. It is very, very stable. So planar, the molecule is a planar molecule. The molecule is a planar. Okay. So d orbitals are involved. So next, involved in resonance end. So these are resonance structures. All this due to involvement of d orbitals in pi bond formation. Next, another one more example. That is example number 2. That is similar dimethyl ether. Oxygen has two lone pairs. It is dimethyl ether. Next, here sulfur. Sorry, oxygen. Dicylyl. Diacylyl ether. Diacylyl ether. So dimethyl ether, diacylyl ether. Once again, so silicon has empty orbital. This lone pair is donated to here. It is back bonding. So once again, p pi d pi bond is possible. P pi d pi bond. That is why that molecule involved in once again resonance boys. So that is why it is more stability. SiH3. So SiH3. So it is back bonding is possible. So because of resonance, more stability. Because of resonance, there is more stable. Here, less stability. It is also due to p pi d pi bond formation. So d orbitals are involved in pi bond formation. One more example. That is example number 3. That is methyl alcohol. CH3OH. If it is losses, it's H plus ion that converts into CH3O with 3 lone pairs minus ion and H plus ion. If this is stable, this H plus ion easily coming out. If this is stable, this H plus ion easily coming out. That's why it is more acidic. Next, SiOH. That is methyl alcohol. It is silyl alcohol. Silyl alcohol. So this is silyl alcohol. If it loses, so that is its H plus ion. SiH3O plus H plus ion. It is minus. Boys. So because of presence of this empty orbital, back bonding is possible. Resonance involved. Because of that, it is more stable. More stable. It is less stable. So that means, so because it is more stable, this H plus ion is quickly out. Therefore, this is more acidic. This is more acidic. That means, so SiH3OH is more acidic than CH3OH, methyl alcohol. So it is also due to back bonding tendency and resonance conflict. So that means, so d orbitals may also involved in pi bond formation. So all these are the nature of bonding, boys. So p orbitals involved in sigma bond. All bonds we know, but p orbitals involved in pi bond formation. D orbitals involved in sigma bond formation. D orbitals also involved in pi bond formation. P pi d pi bonds are also possible, boys. All those are like this. So this is the nature of bonding. Let us discuss next point, next property, that is catenation. Subheading, that is 10th one. Next subheading, boys. Next property. That is catenation. What is catenation? Already in your that is lower classes, this catenation completed, boys. What is catenation? Self linkage of atoms of same element to form long chains, long branched chains, ring chains is called as catenation. Note on the statement. What is catenation? Self linkage of atoms of same element to form long chains, branched chains, and ring chains. Ring chains are called catenation. are called catenation. That means, see here, carbons are there. So number of carbons like this is connected one by one. How many carbons are? Infinite number of carbons may connect. There is no limitation, boys, per carbon. Okay, so that means side chains are also possible. There is a branched chains like this. Ring chains are also possible. Ring chains are also possible. So here, like this, self-linkage of atoms of same element. So can give long chains, branched chains, ring chains, like that. The property is called as catenation. This catenating power among all the entire elements present in your periodic table is highest for carbon. Carbon has the greatest catenating power. Okay, so see here, that is next pointer. That is point number 1. Carbon has greatest catenation power. Carbon has greatest catenation power among all elements. So how much, sir? So that is infinite number of carbons are attached. Infinite number of carbon atoms. What about that next element? That is a silicon. So it is almost 10 silicon atoms are combined. Next, carbon, silicon, germanium. So it has that is 6 germanium atoms may combine. So tin, 2 tin atoms may combine. Lead, no possible. That means no catenation. That means in this group, except lead, remaining elements are all may give catenation. That catenation power from top to bottom decreases. Therefore, order is carbon is much more greater than silicon, greater than germanium, tin, and lead. So this is the order of catenation power. So how many carbon atoms may combine, boys? Infinite number. Infinite number. So silicon side 10, germanium side 6 maximum. So tin has 2 maximum. Lead has no catenation. Lead has no catenation. Why, sir? Carbon has that much catenation power. So there are certain properties. Why? Why carbon has greatest catenation power? So that is, so carbon has that greatest catenation power. This is due to first pointer, small size. Small size, because of small size. So that means easy to involve in the bond formation. Next, second one, that is, so second one, that is small size and high CC bond energy. That means, so bond energy high means that bond is strong. Strong bond is formed between carbon and carbon. Because of that, self-linkage is possible. Next, third point, that is ability to form pi bonding. That means between carbon and carbon, pi bonds possible. Between silicon and silicon, germanium and germanium, pi bonds are not possible, guys. So here, pi bond, that is nothing but multiple bonds possible. That means C double bond C, C triple bond C, like multiple bonds possible. So that is not possible in case of other elements. Next, fourth pointer, that is d orbitals absent. Absence of d orbitals. So no d orbitals. So that means extension is not possible. Extension is not possible. Okay. Next, see here. I'll explain with d orbitals condition. Wait. Next, fifth point. That is, so tetravalency. Tetravalency. That means valency is equal to 4. That means carbon can form 4 bonds at anywhere. Tetrahedrally, number of carbons are connected. That is, tetravalency is possible. Next, 6th point, non-existence of lone pair. Non-availability of lone pairs on carbon. So carbon has no lone pairs, guys. It is involved in so sp3 hybridization mostly, that is, or excited state. It is involved in bond formation. It's excited state. So no lone pair is there. So if lone pairs are there, that bond strength decreases. See here, for example, between carbon and carbon, all are bond pairs, boys. No lone pair is there. Next, between nitrogen and nitrogen, let us observe 3 bond pairs, but nitrogen has 1 lone pair. Next, between oxygen and oxygen, so each oxygen has 2 lone pairs. Each oxygen has 2 lone pairs. Next, between halogen and halogen, I am taking fluorine. Each fluorine has 3 lone pairs. Each fluorine has 3 lone pairs. See, boys, as the number of lone pairs increases, the repulsion between those lone pairs increases. As the repulsion increases, that bond is weakening. That means this bond is very more interelectronic repulsion, more bond lone pair repulsion. It is very weak. Next chance this one, next chance this one, next chance this one. This is very strong. So that means no repulsions, the bond is strong. Because of that, CC bond is very strong. Because of absence of lone pair orbitals. Next, at the same time, why, sir? How these d orbitals are involved? So what is the importance of the d orbitals? If d orbitals are there, they may involved in the reaction. If they are involved in the reaction, that means catalytic power, that means the compound going to be cut. If no d orbitals are there, its chain is continued. So see here what happened. That is, for example, that is CCl4. I'm taking, okay, CCl, Cl, 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 Cl. So here is the compound, boys. So carbon has no d orbitals. So it reacts with water, almost no reaction. Because oxygen has lone pair. This lone pair is donated to carbon, but no empty d orbitals. That's why this donation is not possible. But in case of silicon, see here I am writing here, silicon Si, Cl6. So water is there, oxygen has lone pair. This lone pair is donated to this one because silicon has empty d orbitals. That d orbitals accepts that electron pair. Automatically reaction takes place. So this is empty d orbital, that gives, so Si, Cl, 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 Si, Cl, OH plus HCl is going out. Because of that, reaction takes place. It is going to be collapsed. That is why. So no d orbitals, no reaction is possible. So that is why the formed bonds are very strong. Formed bonds are very strong. So like this, carbon compounds are more stable than silicon compounds. Carbon compounds are more stable than silicon compounds. That is why it is possible. Next, one more example, boys. Carbon can give coordination number maximum 8. 8 coordination number is possible. See here, let us take an example. Note points. Note pointer. So note points. That is, see here, boys, Al2CH3 6 times. This compound exists in it. Just like Al2Cl6. Al2Cl6 exists. Dimer of AlCl3. Dimer of AlCl3 is Al2Cl6. Just like that, Al2CH3 6 times also exists in it. See here, what is the structure for this one? CH3, I'm writing here. CH3, Al, CH3. Here also a bridge bond, carbon, a bridge bond with the CH3. Here, see, boys, Here carbon can form 5 bonds. 5 bonds. Here coordination number of carbon is equal to 5. Like this, 8 is possible. Like this, 8 is possible. Later we will discuss one by one. Okay. So here coordination number of carbon is 5 and 2. So here this bond is 3-centered 2-electron bond wise. So this is nothing but 3-centered 2-electron bond. Like this, stable compounds may also give by that carbon. Yes. Yes, it is banana bond. 3-centered 2-electron bond. It is similar to our banana bond wise. That is electron deficient bond is exists. Electron deficient bond is exists. So this is about so allotropy boys. This is about allotropy. So see here, note point 1, it is, I am taking note point 2 among CF and SIF. CF and SIF, which is more stable bond? Tell me. Among CF and SIF, which is more stable bond? So more stable bond is this one only. More stable. This is less stable. Why, sir? Here silicon has empty d orbital. This fluorine has a lone pair. This is donated to this one. Therefore, this bond has double bond character. That bond has double bond character, but it is a single bond. Double bond is stronger than single bond. That is why this bond is stronger than this one. That is why this bond is more stable than this one. Okay. So that means please consider everywhere, every situation. Otherwise, it is not possible to explain each and everything. Okay. So this is about catenation boys. Let us take next concept, that is allotropy. Next property, allotropy. What is allotropy, sir? Existence of an element in 2 or more physical forms, but chemically identical. That means physical properties are different, chemical properties are same. Note down the statement. So that means existence of an element in 2 or more physical forms, but having same chemical properties. Is called as allotropy. So that means physical properties are different, chemical properties are same. Chemical properties are there. So here, except that last element lead, all other elements can give allotropes. So every element except lead can form allotropes. Carbon has both crystalline allotropes and amorphous allotropes. Like that, every element has allotropes. First, let us observe one by one. So that is, carbon has 2 types of allotropes. What are those? One is crystalline allotropes and the other one is amorphous allotropes. So what are these crystalline form and amorphous forms? Crystalline form, atoms are orderly arranged. Here in crystalline form, atoms are orderly arranged. Atoms are at the body here. Atoms are in random. So atoms are not in order. This is random condition. But their atoms are orderly arranged. Perfect. Because of that, perfect shape exists. Perfect shape exists. Just like our sugar crystals. Here, no perfect shape. No perfect shape or powder like. No perfect shape. Next, it has a sharp melting point. But here, that is a range of melting. This is the major difference between crystalline forms and amorphous forms. So carbon can give these two types of allotropes, both crystalline forms and amorphous forms. Two types of allotropes. Let us observe one by one. So crystalline forms, crystalline allotropes are 1. Graphites, 2. Diamonds, and 3. fullerenes. So these are the 3 crystalline forms of allotropes. So later we will discuss one by one. Crystalline allotropes. Okay, yes, C60. But the amorphous forms, amorphous forms of carbon, those are coal, coke, wood charcoal, animal charcoal, okay, that is a sugar charcoal, petroleum coke, gas carbon, lamp black. All these are amorphous forms, sir. So number of times, which of the following is crystalline form, which of the following is amorphous form. Okay. So yes, our Bachmann's filtering is crystalline form. So crystalline forms are only 3 for carbon. So what are those? Amorphous, diamond, graphite, and fullerene. Boys, all these 3 forms are monotropic allotropy. They show monotropic allotropy. They show monotropic allotropy. Monotropic allotropy means that means so one allotrope is not changed to another allotrope by changing temperature. So as temperature changes, allotropes are not interconverted. That is called as monotropic allotropes. Not diamond not converts into graphite. Diamond, even though you apply a very huge amount of energy, diamond not converts into graphite. Why not, sir? Because of high activation energy. So diamond and graphite, so interconversions are not possible because of huge, very, very high amount of activation energy. What is activation energy? That is the energy required to convert one form into another form. There is a minimum energy. That energy is called as, that means reactants converts into products. There is a need of some energy. That energy is called as activation energy. So that activation energy for this case is very, very high end. That is why one form is not changed to another form. That is called as monotropic form. But in case of tin, let us observe one by one. So note on point. That is activation energy for conversion of diamonds to graphites is very high. That is why not possible. So diamond to graphite is very, very high. Okay. Next, tin cases. I am explaining with tin cases. That is allotropes of tin. It is for carbon. Now, allotropes of tin. So that is grey tin, TIN. So it is also called as alpha tin. Grey tin is also called as alpha tin. Next, white tin, It is a beta tin. Gamma tin. Next, tin liquids. These are the allotropes of tin. These are the allotropes of tin. But one form is interconverted to another form. One form is interconverted to another form. See here. So that is, so these two are interconvertible, right? And these are equilibrium with at about 13.2 degrees centigrade. Next, these two are in equilibrium with 161 degrees centigrade. These two are in equilibrium with 161 degrees centigrade. So these two are 273 degrees centigrade. 273 degrees centigrade. That means one form is changed to another form. That means interconversion possible, not like in previous case. So that means these allotropes are called as, enantiotropic. Enantiotropy. Or enantiotropic allotropy. Enantiotropic allotropy. Allotropy means interconversion possible. Interconversion possible with temperature. There it is not possible, here it is possible. That's why this is called as enantiotropic allotropy. Enantiotropy or enantiotropic allotropy. Very, very, very important. Very, very important. So that means boys, so gratin, so exists at below 13.2 degrees centigrade. So that means in cold countries, this gratin is existed. In cold countries, gratin is exists. That gratin, so that means that is in powder state. That gratin is in powder state. That is at low temperature, gratin exists in powder state. So that is why tin vessels are not used in cold countries. So note down the point. That means gratin, it has brittle and powdered. Brittle and powder. Because of these two situations, because gratin is powder and brittle in situation, so this is not tin vessels. So tin vessels not used. Tin vessels are not used in cold countries. If it is used, so that tin powder may enter into your body, Okay, so automatically some diseases in our body may appear, and those diseases are called as tin diseases and tin plague, tin diseases like that. Okay, so that is why. So yes, that is tin vessels. So that is called as tin plague. Those diseases are called as tin plague or tin pest, or tin disease, like that. Number of names. Disease. Like this, number of diseases are there, words are there. That is why in cold countries, tin is not used. Okay, so this is about allotropy, boys. This is about allotropy. Let us consider chemical properties. These are all physical properties, boys. Let us take, yes, let us take chemical properties. Now, subheading chemical properties. Chemical properties. chemical properties. First one, action of air. That means when air is exposed, the oxygen present in air may react with these elements. So see here. So that is carbon reacts with oxygen, gives carbon dioxide. It is from air end. But coal and coke not directly reacts with oxygen, because coal and coke in nature available. So if air is also naturally available, so these two are not direct contacted because it requires very, very huge amount of activation. That is why direct reaction of coke, coal or coke with oxygen present in air is not possible because of high activation. Note down the point. So that is, note down, when coal or coke is placed in open air, the above reaction not takes place. The above reaction not takes place because of the above reaction not takes place because of high activation energy. EA means activation energy. Because of high activation energy, this reaction is not possible. But hot condition, so that means carbon, red hot condition, coal or coke, red hot, and steam is passed, that gives carbon monoxide and H2. This mixture is called as water gas. This mixture is called as water gas. This reaction is possible, but it is endothermic. Here delta H is positive. Positive means endothermic. So huge amount of energy is required. That is why hot conditions are possible. So coal or coke, when it is on hot, steam is involved in the reaction. This reaction is happened. Otherwise, it is not possible. Next, other points. That is, when silicon reacts with oxygen, it is also hot condition. That gives SiO2. So next, germanium reacts with oxygen, gives ZeO2. Tin, Sn plus O2 gives SnO2. Next, lead plus O2 gives PbO, not dioxide. It is monoxide. So please consider, because lead has +2 state is stable and not +4. So that is why lead oxide is formed, not lead dioxide. Next reaction, action of water. Next one, action of water. Action of water. See here, boys. Already explained, boys. That is, so cold condition. So direct reaction with oxygen is not possible. Direct reaction with water also not possible. So that means, so carbon cold, water cold, no reaction. But carbon, that is coke, red hot. Next, water, steam. So that means gives, so CO plus H2. So this reaction is happened. Here it is endothermic reaction, boys. So please cancel that reaction at that place. So note down here. And mistakenly I am explained at that point. So this is the condition. It is the reaction with water. So in cold situation, no reaction. But hot condition, there is a reaction. It is water gas, boys. This water gas is a very good fuel. It is a good fuel gas. Next, silicon. So this one also reacts with water. That gives SiO2 and hydrogen gas is evolved. Next, it is also hot condition boys. Next, germanium in cold condition reaction takes place. So germanium, not germanium, it is tin. Tin in cold condition reaction takes place with water, that gives SnO2 plus H2 gas is evolved. SnO2 plus H2 plus. Next, lead with water, no reaction. Lead with water, no reaction. Why, sir? Why not? Because an oxide layer is formed. That oxide layer prevents the further reaction. So, no reaction due to oxide layer on surface of lead. So, due to oxide layer on the surface of lead, no reaction takes place. But it is dissolved in water containing oxygen. But lead, when dissolved in water containing oxygen, gives lead hydroxide. Gives lead hydroxide. See here. So when lead dissolved in water in the presence of oxygen, that gives PbOH twice. That reaction is possible. That reaction is possible. So direct reaction is not possible, but the presence of oxygen, lead is dissolved. That gives the lead hydroxide. Lead hydroxide. So this is about reaction with water. Next, action of acids. Action of acids. Third point, third concept. Action of acids. See boys, our acids HCl, H2SO4, HNO4. Carbon, that is HCl. There is no oxygen. That is a non-oxidizing acid. Carbon not reacts with that type of non-oxidizing acids because those acids not act as oxidizing agents. So that is why carbon not formed. See here, first point, carbon with HCl, it is non-oxidizing acid. No reaction. Carbon with non-oxidizing acids, no reaction. Next, but with H2SO4, it is possible. So because carbon with H2SO4, it is oxidizing agent, that gives carbon dioxide plus SO2 gas plus H2O. Similarly, it reacts with HNO3, concentrated. That gives carbon dioxide and NO2 gas plus H2O. Here carbon oxidation state 0. Here carbon oxidation state 0. Here carbon oxidation plus for carbon is oxidized with the help of these oxidizing agents. With the help of these oxidizing agents, carbon is oxidized. That oxidation is not possible with HCl. That's why carbon not reacts with non-oxidizing acids like HCl. Okay, it is a reaction. Next, silicon reacts only with HF. Silicon reacts only with HF. That is Si plus HF gives SiF4 plus H2. That formed SiF4 one more time involved in the reaction, further reacts with HF, that gives H2SiF6 plus S, that's enough. H2SiF6 is possible. So this is existed condition. Already we explained it. That is SiF6 existed. SiF6 exists. So this is silicon. Next, germanium. Germanium. How that germanium reacts with acids? See here. Please note on each and every reaction wise. Germanium, when reacts with HCl, gives HZeCl3 plus H2. It is a dilute HCl. When it reacts with concentrated HCl, that gives GeCl4 plus H2. GeCl4 plus H2. Next, tin, SN, tin, when reacts with HCl, either dilute or concentrated, gives SnCl2 plus H2. Please balance this. SnCl2 plus H2. Next, when it reacts with H2SO4, which is in dilute condition, that gives SnS4 plus H2. SnS4 plus H2. Next, when it reacts with concentrated H2SO4 and that gives SnS4 plus SO2 plus H2O are the products. SO2 and H2O are the products. So this is the reaction of tin with HCl, H2SO4 dilute condition, H2SO4 concentrated condition. Now with HNO3. See here, tin reacts with HNO3. 10 moles HNO3 gives 4 SnNO3 twice, tin sulfur plus NH4NO3 ammonium nitrate plus H2O. Tin nitrate, ammonium nitrate and H2O. Tin nitrate, ammonium nitrate and H2O. Okay, here boys, nitrogen has a +5 state. Here nitrogen has -3 state. So that means +5 to -3 reduced. So therefore acts as oxidizing agent. Here tin 0,2, tin plus 2, oxidized. That means oxidizer. Next, HNO3, tin with HNO3 concentrated in. It is diluted. It is concentrated. That gives H2 SnO3 plus 4NO2 plus H2O. 4NO2 plus H2O. So this is 4HNO3. So with dilute HNO3, with concentrated HNO3, with aqueous HNO3, Why is all these reactions are very, very important? That's why I'm writing all reactions. So tin plus HNO3 plus H2O, which is aqueous HNO3. I'm taking this combination aqueous HNO3, that is, or dilute HNO3, which is taken as, that gives, so NO plus H2SNO3, NO plus H2SNO3. So 3 times, 4 times, that is 4HNO3, 4NO, 3H2SNO3. So these are the reaction, boys. Next, lead and last reactions, please wait. Lead. PB. When reacts with HCl, gives PbCl2 plus H2. PbCl2 plus H2. So this PbCl2 is insoluble and forms a layer prevents further reaction with dilute HCl. Prevents further reaction. So that is why further dilute HCl is not reacted in, but concentrated HCl is used. So therefore that formed PbCl2 and reacts with the concentrated HCl, that is 2 times, gives PbSO4 plus, just a minute, PB, not SO4, PbCl4 is the product. PbCl4 plus H2 అండి, which is soluble అండి, which is soluble. Okay, so very very important, chloroplumbous acid, name is chloroplumbous acid, which is soluble. That is a further reaction of next one. Acid kada, it is H2PbCl4. Yes, it is corrected. H2PbCl4, no, it is not present. So PbCl2 reacts with 2 constant Cl gives H2PbCl4 for any. So that gives a chloroplumbous acid, which is soluble. It is reaction. Next, when Pb reacts with concentrated H2SO4, concentrated H2SO4, that gives PbSO4 insoluble, that means a precipitator, plus H2 gas. So PbSO4 plus H2 gas, PbSO4 plus H2 gas. Next, reaction with HNO3. When lead reacts with HNO3, dilute condition, dilute HNO3, that gives PbNO3 twice plus H2O plus NO is the productant. Please balance it. H2O plus NO. So when it reacts with concentrated HNO3, that gives PbNO3, lead nitrate plus H2O plus NO2 gas. So with dilute HNO3, NO is the product. With concentrated HNO3, NO2 is the productant. Please be considered. So this is about the reactions of our elements with acids. Right now, I'm stopping this concept here, boys. Thanks a lot.